There's always a hot debate in the Hunter x Hunter community about which anime version is better, the 1999 adaptation by Nippon Animation or the 2011 adaptation by Madhouse. I'll answer that question at the end of this video, but before that, let me tell you the story of how this video came to be. A week ago, I decided to rewatch the old Hunter x Hunter. I've rewatched Hunter x Hunter more than 7 times probably, but the 1999 version I've only seen twice, and it's been a very long time since then. I know its production was incredible, and director Furuhashi really showed his talent there, but at the same time, my memory of this version is somewhat hazy. Ultimately, I'm used to the newer version, and my perspective now is completely different from when I last watched the 1999 adaptation. So you could say these are the strong reasons why this experience was different and enjoyable, even though it was a rewatch. First, my familiarity with the new version, since it's the one I've rewatched the most. Second, not watching it alone. I'm watching it with you all on Twitch, where we're discussing it. Third, my infinite directorial and critical eyes are completely different from the last time I watched this version. And finally, my hazy memory of the additions and filler in this version, and my familiarity with the new Madhouse version. So, what will this experience be like, and what are my thoughts on it?
俺は親父がハンターなんだ。どうしても知りたくて、クジラ島から出て
Today, our discussion will focus on the Hunter exam arc, as this is where the core differences between the two versions lie. Man, how can I even begin to talk about this arc or this version? I know for a fact it's different from the 2011 version, and I also know it followed the manga regarding Kite's appearance. In the new version, Kite never appeared in the first episode. His first appearance was in the Chimera Ant arc, where we got a quick flashback of their meeting on the island. Meanwhile, in the old version, there's a full episode dedicated to this meeting, not just a 2-minute flashback. The first episode of Hunter in the new version was completely summarized. Gon caught the Lord of the Lake and set off to become a hunter. However, in the old version, the first episode was entirely different. The events actually took place 3 years before Gon left Whale Island, when he was less than 10 years old, and that's when the meeting between Gon and Kite happened. It's true that the old version differed slightly from the manga regarding Gon getting his father's hunter license, but honestly, the episode even surpassed the manga in showing Mita-san's emotions, Gon's personality, and his encounter with Kite. There's a universal saying, I believe it's even in your country, that if the foundation is solid, you've already done half the work and made things much easier for yourself. A strong foundation allows you to build even stronger things upon it. Many who watched the Madhouse 2011 version said that Gon's rage over what happened to Kite was unjustified. But those who read the manga and watched the old version truly understand the value of Gon and Kite's relationship. The 1999 version portrayed character relationships much better. Gon's relationship with Mito in the old version is completely different. In the Madhouse version, she only appeared briefly, and you don't feel that strong bond between the two characters. But in the Nippon Animation version, this relationship was portrayed perfectly and clearly for the viewer. The relationship between Mito-san and Gon, which represents a mother's bond with her son, was shown with more poetry and love by the director. In this version, you really feel that Mito is deeply saddened by Gon's departure, as if she lost something dear to her. But in the new version, you don't feel the depth of this, because the scene was very brief. This is a point where director Furuhashi overwhelmingly surpassed the Madhouse version. His portrayal of the character's emotions is completely different, more poetic, and makes you understand the essence of the characters. Believe me, Gon's relationship with Killua is different. Hisoka's relationship with Gon is different. The relationship of the main quartet with each other is different, and so much more.
ダメだ。どうしても答え出ないや。
Anyone who watched the old version and saw Kite's conversations with Gon and the scenes they shared understands very well that Gon's anger is justified. Madhouse shortened these scenes so much that sometimes it seems illogical, while Nippon Animation shows you these relationships and takes its time with them. The reason for this, as we said, is that director Furuhashi focused heavily on this aspect, making it one of the best features of the old version. As you know, the old old version has filler episodes not found in the manga, which were added by Furuhashi under Tagashi's supervision. Unlike the traditional concept of filler, whose sole purpose is usually to stretch out the story, allow the studio to rest, or give the author more time to progress the manga, the filler in the old version is completely different. It makes you think, man, this director understands the story far better than I do. To explain, let me tell you about one of these filler moments during the first Hunter exam, the jogging test. In the new version, Leorio got tired and was about to fail, but then he refused to give up, got fired up, pushed himself, and kept running. He then explained to Kurapika his reason for wanting to be a hunter. He lost a friend because he lacked money and couldn't afford treatment. So he wanted to become a doctor, study medicine, and help anyone without money. However, in the old version, this is depicted a billion times better. When Leorio got tired, Tompa came and told Gon and Kurapika that there was a plant or tree roots nearby. If they inhaled their air, they would gain energy, which would help Leorio continue running. So he suggested taking Leorio to those roots. These roots, in reality, cause hallucinations of what a person fears most. Leorio fell into Tompa's trap and experienced hallucinations of his deceased friend, accompanied by music, cinematography, events, and directing that make you say, this director is a genius. The scenes in this filler are truly iconic.
Become a great doctor.
During this incident, the roots affected Leorio and Kurapika, but they had no effect on Gon at all. At that stage, Gon was like a blank slate, untouched and unblemished by anything. He had no fears. Gon hadn't been exposed to such hardships. He was forgiving of everyone, a kind child who lived his life in his aunt's embrace and in the calm, natural surroundings with animals. Furuhashi understood Gon's character here. He knew that this journey into the outside world would teach Gon that the world isn't as happy and rosy as he thought, and that he would inevitably go through harsh experiences. Gon's first difficult experience was his clash with Hisoka. Let me describe one of their scenes in the old version. This happened when Gon took Hisoka's tag in the second-to-last test, but then lost it. Hisoka returned it to him, making Gon feel a sense of pity for himself, and delivered a punch that knocked all the joy, optimism, and pride out of him. In the new version, after Hisoka punched Gon, you got a simple scene of Gon in pain, and then he joined Kurapika and Leorio to continue the test. However, in the old version, this suffering was depicted in a much more expressive way. There's almost half an episode dedicated solely to Gon's routine after taking the punch and being unable to move. Nippon Animation showed us Gon, how he ate tree roots to stay alive, how he crawled to the river to drink, how animals tried to help him, how he remembered his aunt's embrace when he was little and started crying, and many other things. Here, the director showed you that Gon understood this world wasn't as beautiful as he thought. The portrayal of this scene is a billion times superior. With this scene, you'll then understand why Gon is selfish, why Gon got so angry about what happened to Kite and felt it was his fault, why he wanted to return those blows to Hisoka in Heaven's Arena, why Gon hates losing, or why he hates it when someone gets hurt because of him. Furuhashi, with his excellent directing, clearly explained how Hisoka touched Gon's character, and how Gon is a character who hates losing and has a strong sense of responsibility for what happens around him. Trust me, if you watch the old version, you'll fully understand why Gon sacrificed everything for revenge and to defeat P2. These elements are abundant in the old version. Gon's character in the old version is completely different from what you see in the Madhouse version. By the way, the most significant difference between the two versions is Gon's character, which is why I believe the 1999 version is essential for truly understanding his personality. Another beautiful addition, or filler, is what we call the ship event. This filler was a side test by the studio. Many would start talking about this event by focusing on Kurapika's character, but this filler highlighted another, more important aspect: cooperation among the Hunter exam applicants. In this test, you practically cannot survive alone. It requires collaboration among everyone, and the leader of this cooperation wasn't Kurapika, Leorio, or one of the main protagonists. protagonists, but rather the character Hanzo. In the new version, it's difficult to connect with Hanzo as a character. Perhaps after the Succession Contest arc in the manga, it might be possible, but in the Madhouse version, it's very difficult. This ship filler took place before the final test where Gon would face Hanzo. Thus, the director gave Hanzo a leadership role and allowed viewers to get closer to the character and understand some of his facets, making his fight with Gon more meaningful and preventing Hanzo from appearing as a one-dimensional character. You learn about other aspects of his character, like how he's similar to Gon in hating loss and caring for his comrades. Notice that years later, Togashi showed the same thing, making Hanzo give that angry expression for his failure to save Princess Momose. This point doesn't apply only to Hanzo, but to several other secondary characters as well. In the Madhouse version, the secondary applicants appear for only a few seconds. However, in this filler, they are highlighted. Here, someone might ask me, Saiko, what's the benefit of this? The answer is that the characters you see cooperating in this filler, witnessing that beautiful camaraderie and forming a slight connection with them, you will then see them killed by Hisoka and Illumi in the tag hunting test. Let me explain further. In the new version, you won't feel empathy for these characters who are eliminated by Illumi and Hisoka. You won't even sense the true danger and terror of Hisoka and Illumi. You'll see the killing scenes as insignificant. You'll likely just say they're insignificant secondary characters who don't contribute to the atmosphere. However, with Furuhashi in the old version, you'll see Hisoka and Illumi as truly dangerous characters who kill individuals you formed a connection with. Consequently, you'll feel the darkness of the Hunter exam arc more profoundly. Let me give a simple example. If you watch the Madhouse version first, the death of these two characters wouldn't stir any emotion in you because you barely remember them. But in the Nippon animation version, it's completely different. This is why you'll find the Hunter exam arc in the old version to be vastly different. It's darker and uses muted colors that better convey the somber atmosphere of this test. Man, Furuhashi's version just has a whole different vibe, especially in the Hunter exam. They say a good director conveys the essence, content, and message of a work in the best possible way, but Furuhashi did that, and then added so much more. Here, I want to point out something. Gon and Killua's relationship in this version is completely different from the new one in the Hunter exam, Heaven's Arena, and York New arcs. The issue isn't that Madhouse is bad, but Madhouse rushed the Hunter exam arc, while Nippon Animation added a lot of valuable content and helped elevate the relationships between characters to the highest level. Just consider this: Gon catching the Lord of the Lake and boarding the ship to embark on the Hunter exam journey. I believe that happened in just one episode in the 2011 version, whereas in the old version, it took 3 episodes. Also, something that will amaze you, especially if you're a fan of Leorio like me, is that this character was given his full due in the Hunter exam. The atmosphere of laughter, fun, humor, impulsiveness, and emotion with Leorio in the old version just hits differently. In general, the relationships between characters in the old version are much better. I'll say it again, good work starts with a good foundation, and for the beginning of the old version, the foundation was steel strong. That's why most of my discussion focuses on the Hunter exam arc, because afterward, in the Zoldyck arc and then Heaven's Arena, the focus shifts to Gon and Killua. If you don't understand these characters well from the author's initial portrayal, you'll find it difficult to understand their future actions, as happened with many viewers regarding Gon in the Chimera Ant arc. I don't know if it's intentional by 90s anime directors, but they go to great lengths to make you connect emotionally with the work. If I were to compare it to something, I'd use the example of the early episodes of One Piece. The first saga of One Piece isn't exceptionally high quality in terms of events, and the pace is very slow. However, the emotional connection to the work for most One Piece fans in those early episodes, I can almost guarantee, is stronger than in later sagas. It's as if you became one of the Straw Hat Pirates, because with the old One Piece production, you truly feel the pirate atmosphere with those darker colors and excellent drama. But now, when you see those flashy colors, it feels like it's turned into Dragon Ball. to give an example that Hunter fans will understand. Do you remember in the Chimera Ant arc? After watching an incredibly rich episode, it ends, and then the ending song begins, showing all the characters, and you think to yourself, man, what did I just witness? This feeling is incredibly powerful in the Nippon animation version. When an episode concludes with that specific OST, it creates a beautiful atmosphere that's impossible to describe, and you can only truly experience it by watching that version.
どう覚えるんだろう
Now, let's get to the question of which version is better. Everything I've discussed so far hasn't primarily focused on production itself because most people don't fully understand it and simply assume that new animation with modern techniques automatically surpasses older styles. To clarify my perspective, I'll provide an example that might help convey the idea using the world's most famous cartoon, Tom and Jerry. I want you to determine which is superior in terms of production. The classic Tom and Jerry episodes with their older animation and meticulously chosen colors, or the newer episodes produced with the latest technology. I believe the answer is clear, as the direction in the classic versions is iconic, clearly a labor of love, and possesses a distinct creative touch. While animation techniques have certainly evolved, direction is an entirely different matter. I hope my example illustrates this point. Now back to our main question, but first let me put both works into their historical context. As mentioned, Furuhashi directed some of the greatest episodes in industry history with the old version. However, he left the project after the York New City arc. The OVAs that followed, specifically the Greed Island arc, were not directed by him. And while they weren't bad, you can feel that a core piece of Hunter x Hunter was missing. The designs changed, the presentation style shifted, and even the color palette he adhered to was different. In 2011, a new Hunter x Hunter anime production was announced, intended to continue with the Chimera Ant arc. This was due to the closure and cessation of operations of Nippon Animation Studio. When Madhouse Studio decided to produce Hunter x Hunter with a different director, a new staff, different character designs, and new voice actors, they never aimed to challenge Furuhashi's version for superiority. This is because it was virtually impossible. To help you understand what I mean, imagine you bring in two excellent artists. You tell the first one, draw a terrifying mythical creature from your imagination, embodying both good and evil, with a unique design. To the second artist, you simply say, draw a zebra, and you provide them with a picture of a zebra to use as a reference. The first artist has a blank canvas for this monster. In a way, he's creating something truly new, something that hasn't been drawn before. His creativity will flow, his passion will ignite, and he'll portray the good and evil aspects of the creature based purely on his own understanding of those concepts. Meanwhile, no matter how precise and wonderful the second artist's drawing is, it will remain just a drawing of a zebra without the unique details or distinct qualities that would make the artwork truly stand out. Madhouse Studio, to avoid falling into this fallacy, never competed with the old studio in directing the initial arcs. This is because the old version had already claimed the lion's share. No matter how much Madhouse's director tried to be creative, they would remain within Furuhashi's and the old version's established domain. They would still be influenced by the old version. So instead, Madhouse Studio accelerated the pace of the work. Their goal was simply to produce a good adaptation of the York New City arc and the Greed Island arc. All of this was done to prepare to compete with the 1999 version in an area that hadn't been animated yet, the Chimera Ant arc. Yes, the old version excels over the new one in the Hunter exam and other early arcs. However, if that studio were brought back to life with the same staff at the same level and with Furuhashi himself at the helm, and you told them to produce the Chimera Ant arc, believe me, they would never surpass Madhouse. They would find themselves within Madhouse's established domain. The The answer to which is the best version simply doesn't exist. As a viewer, you should be happy to have both versions, offering two completely different experiences. It's true that the old version might have excelled in most of the early arcs, but this is due to the artist theory I presented. And it's also because Madhouse respected the old version and decided to accelerate to a point where they could truly make their mark. And here, I mean the Chimera Ant arc. They absolutely did not disappoint us, and you'll see a tremendous transformation in style, direction, and everything during the climax of that arc.